Interview 1. The Porsche Arena in Stuttgart has welcomed every tennis legend the sport has ever produced. But on April 9, 2026, the cameras at Stuttgart Airport were not focused on any champion. They were waiting for a queen. 2-0 Old Alex Eala earned direct entry into the main draw of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix, completely skipping the qualifiers after Qin Wenjing's injury withdrawal. Within hours, Philippine media outlets erupted with one powerful message: viral arrival in Germany, millions of fans mobilized. The crowd was already gathering, the chants were already echoing, and what happened next proved that Alex Eala does not need a trophy to own an entire tournament. Subscribe and drop your prediction in the comments. How far will she go in Stuttgart? Just 48 hours earlier, she had walked off the court in Linz after a tough second-round loss to Jelena Ostapenko with the score 6-4, 7-5. The defeat hurt. Her ranking stood at no. Sishalo. Clay courts had been challenging for her in 2026. Then came the announcement: direct main draw entry into the WTA 500 indoor clay event in Stuttgart. This is the exact surface where reputations are forged. It was not a simple gift, it was a true test. The Stuttgart field reads like a who's who of the WTA elite. Players like Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, Elena Rybakina, and others who have won multiple Grand Slam titles and occupy the top 10 spots like permanent residents. Alex Eala was stepping into one of the most competitive WTA 500 draws of the spring clay season, not as a qualifier fighting for survival, but as a main draw player expected to perform. The opportunity was genuine, so was the pressure. Yet her Filipino supporters refused to treat this as a courtesy invite. They treated it like Coronation Day. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix made it official on X on April 9th. Alexandra Eala replaces Qin Wenjing in the main draw. Unfortunately, Qin Wen has to withdraw due to injury, but fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in. That single sentence sparked a movement. Within hours, Philippine YouTube channels and news outlets flooded social media with arrival coverage. Headlines framed her journey to Stuttgart as if she were arriving for a state visit. Fans who had just watched her in Austria were already planning trips to Germany. The Pinoy diaspora does not wait for permission to support their hero. Imagine being a tournament organizer in Stuttgart. You release a routine injury replacement announcement, and by nightfall, your event is trending across Southeast Asia, while the Filipino community in Europe mobilizes like a campaign rally. That is the incredible power Alex Eala carries wherever she goes. The pattern was already clear. Just 2 days earlier in Linz, after defeating Julia Grabber in the first round, Eala stood on court and delivered a message that went far beyond tennis. Speaking first in English, then switching to Tagalog, she told the crowd,
I'm really happy with how they've welcomed me and welcomed the Filipinos. There are a lot of them here.
I think it's amazing. I'm really happy with how they've welcomed me and welcomed the Filipinos. I guess we match really well because there are a lot of them here. So I'm really thankful for the hospitality. That moment, her decision to speak Tagalog and her acknowledgement of the fans, not just as spectators but as true partners, is exactly why the Queen arrival narrative is not mere hype. It is recognition of something very real. Even her opponent felt the energy. During the Linz second-round match against Ostapenko, the Filipino crowd became so vocal that Ostapenko complained to officials mid-match. At one point, she sarcastically invited a heckler to come play for me so I can learn. After winning, she thanked the crowd with clear frustration. You helped me a lot today. When your fans rattle a former French Open champion so badly that she has to address them publicly, you are not just playing tennis, you are commanding the atmosphere. Now that same energy travels with Eala to Stuttgart. The Porsche Arena seats over 4,500, and Stuttgart is home to one of the largest Filipino communities in Germany. The math is simple. Alex Eala is about to transform an indoor clay court in southern Germany into a piece of Manila. She is not arriving unprepared. Her coaching team for the European clay swing, including Sandro Viani on site and support from Joan Bosch at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, has her fully locked in tactically. The loss to Ostapenko was highly competitive. The win over Grabher was dominant. The clay game is clearly there. The crowd will be louder than any opponent has faced all year. The tournament itself said it best. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix organizers did not downplay the replacement announcement, they actively promoted it with the words, "Fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in." That phrasing was deliberate. This is one of the most prestigious WTA 500 events on the calendar. Stuttgart does not need to hype injury replacements, yet they chose to present Eala's entry as something fans should eagerly anticipate. That is clear institutional recognition that she is not just filling a spot, she is a genuine draw. When the event organizers themselves treat your arrival as newsworthy, the narrative writes itself. Stuttgart marks the first major indoor clay event of the season, followed by Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros. Every round Eala survives in Stuttgart will build momentum not only for her ranking, but for the bigger story, the rise of Filipino tennis as a global force. This is not abstract. Filipino fans are already booking travel to Madrid. Social media pages are coordinating watch parties across the Philippines and Europe. Sponsors are watching ticket sales and engagement metrics surge every time Eala steps on court. The WTA has spent years trying to expand deeply into the Asian market beyond China and Japan. Eala is achieving it without billion-dollar academy systems or heavy government tennis programs. She is doing it through pure talent, grit, and a passionate diaspora that refuses to let her play alone. Tournament directors from Indian Wells to Roland Garros are paying close attention not just because of her ranking, but because of the electric atmosphere that follows whenever she shows up. The Lin's loss to Ostapenko was razor close. Eala led in the second set and had opportunities at 5-5. She could not close it out. The final score of 6-4, 7-5 showed narrow margins rather than dominance. Yet when the match ended, the Lin's crowd gave her a standing ovation. Eala raised her racket, smiled warmly, and walked off without any visible frustration. Within 2 days, she posted gratitude for the fans and shifted her focus straight to Stuttgart. That immediate, gracious, forward-looking response is precisely why the Filipino community treats her like royalty. She honors them even in defeat. April 9th, the announcement drops. April 10th, Philippine media declares her arrival viral. April 13th, she steps onto the Porsche Arena court with thousands of Filipinos chanting her name. Eala is not arriving in Stuttgart merely as a replacement. She is arriving as living proof that a people's champion does not need a title to command the biggest stage. The belief you held when she was ranked outside the top 50 when others dismissed her as just a junior slam winner who might not make the transition is being validated right now in real time. You saw the fire long before the rankings caught up. The world is finally catching up to what Filipino fans have known for years. Can Eala ride this powerful wave of Pinoy support deep into the Stuttgart draw? Or will the top players like Swiatek, Rybakina, or Goff halt the coronation before it truly begins? Subscribe now because you are not just following a player, you are part of the movement that is turning every European clay court into Filipino soil. The true believers were here from the start. Make sure you don't miss what happens when the queen takes her throne. Drop your prediction in the comments. How far does Eala go in Stuttgart?